Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here, so it's time for the next episode of my series of Old is Better Than New. And in today's video I'm going to be covering this time a film series where I personally think that old is better than the new. And I'm mainly talking about the original film of this franchise's films. And this is a franchise which has one of my favourite action heroes of all time in cinematic history. One who of course is a police officer from the future, if you will, who was once a human police officer called Alex Murphy, who then of course became a cyborg police officer. And as you probably guessed by the clue I gave, the franchise where I personally say Old is Better Than New for its films is none other than RoboCop. So, you guys, of course, are going to ask me, of course, what are my thoughts on the RoboCop franchise then. So, I definitely would say that, in my opinion, the best RoboCop film is undoubtedly, to me, the original film. The original film is one of my favourite films of all time. To me, it's the greatest work I've seen from Paul Verhoeven, my favourite Dutch director of all time, one of my favourite directors in general. Because I definitely think RoboCop is an absolute masterpiece. Definitely, in my opinion, a timeless masterpiece that never gets old. It's always an absolute pleasure to rewatch. I've rewatched it tons of times. And I'm just really glad that I got into the film, really. I'm so glad I watched it because it's one of my favourite films of all time and I love everything about it. And RoboCop, in my opinion, is most definitely Peter Weller's best role of all time as well. Because, in my opinion, nobody can play the role of RoboCop better than Peter Weller. As far as I'm concerned, he always will be RoboCop, to me. To me, no one can play the role better than him. And the film also did not hold back on blood and gore either. And I don't think he did a brilliant job of it. And I must also say brilliant humour as well, which was well balanced with blood and gore. And the serious moments as well, I must say. And I think the film did a brilliant job of world building, of setting up of course, this future place, of course. And I think he did a brilliant job at it. And to me, RoboCop is only perfect as a standalone film. That's why, of course, I have the director's cut here as this special edition here on Blu-ray. Because I like to pretend, of course, it's only the one film alone, really. No more, no less, in my opinion, when it comes to films. Now, I will, of course, be excluding video games from this video. Because, personally, I'd say RoboCop as a franchise in gaming is still going strong. Because I've heard great things about the PS2 RoboCop video game. I've not played it yet, but I would like to one day, or because I love the franchise. And he, of course, also had a guest appearance in Mortal Kombat 11 as well. And I thought RoboCop was awesome in that game, in my opinion, as DLC. And I love how he got Peter Weller to reprise his role for that game as well. Just brilliant, in my opinion, how he got him back for it. And then, of course, last year, I played and completed the game RoboCop Rogue City, which to me is an absolute masterpiece. And definitely, to me, the only continuation of the original film I can accept. That's as far as I'm concerned, really. Because I think the first film had a perfect ending that I did not see any signs of sequel baiting to whatsoever. And the game is the only thing I can accept as a canon sequel because it stayed faithful to the original film and to the fans of the franchise. And I love how I got Peter Weller to reprise role for that game as well. So it's clear that he does still care about the character, which I definitely really love about Peter Weller. He's awesome. When it comes to films, though, I definitely think that since the original film, RoboCop has unfortunately gone through hard times. Because three years after the first movie, we then got, of course, the sequel, RoboCop 2, released in 1990. And that film was sadly Irving Kershner's final film, may he rest in peace. When it comes to RoboCop 2, I just think it's just good, in my opinion, but it's definitely nowhere near the masterpiece, which is the original film, for some reasons being, of course, I personally think the film has not a very good script, in my opinion, compared to the original film. Some dialogue, in my opinion, in the film is pretty laughable. Not because it's trying to put in humour like the first film did, but because the dialogue is just simply not good, in my opinion. It's laughably bad, in my opinion. But not as laughable as what came next, I'll say that. And in addition to that as well, I think one particular scene, which pretty much ruins the ending of the first film for me, is the scene where RoboCop says he's just a machine, not, of course, Alex Murphy. And when he, of course, then tells his wife that he's not Alex Murphy, and Alex Murphy is dead, and the only made RoboCop to honour Alex Murphy, and he doesn't know her. That scene really broke my heart when I saw the film, and it's definitely my biggest issue with the film. So I personally think that, of course, the second film, while it has its good moments, it does in my opinion, have disappointing moments too, which is why I think it's nowhere near as good as a masterpiece, which is the first film, and why I pretend, of course, it doesn't exist in my canon, and of course that the only thing that comes after the first film is Rogue City. That's what I'll say, really. And so, when it comes as well to RoboCop 2, I do also tolerate it more than what came next, because it does at least have Peter Weller back reprising his role for it. So I do appreciate they got Peter Weller back and most other cast members too from the first film. But sadly, however, though, 3 years later, we got what is probably the #1 worst RoboCop film of all time. And this film, for me, is not just for me the worst one on a franchise, but to me, it's one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life, too. And one of those films where, in my opinion, there's literally nothing good about it, in my opinion. Because the only thing, in my opinion, that could be redeemable is probably the musical score by Basil Poledouris, but that's kind of just way too out of place in this film because how bad it is. And that film is RoboCop 3! Now, I've already ranted about this on a trash talk, which I did, so if you want to see me tear that film apart, then go check it out, but I will say that RoboCop 3, in my opinion, is just beyond trash. Literally nothing good about it, in my opinion. And compared to the original film, there's barely any blood and gore, which in my opinion is a very dumb move, because for some reason, they made the film have a rating of PG-13, I think it was, which I think is a very dumb move, because RoboCop is not a franchise for children. He never was meant to be a children's character at all. Like, just because his fanbase apparently consists of children doesn't mean the film has to be for children. No. Like, he was never designed for children at all. Not to mention, the film was also as well delayed as well, which was pretty bad too as well. So its production was really bad. Not to mention, the game was also released before the film even came out, which of course was based on the film, and it spoiled the film, so yeah, oops. Not to mention as well, RoboCop was also recast with Robert John Burt playing him. I really did not like, of course, Robert John Burt as him, as you probably know from my trash talk of the film. Like, Peter Weller is far more superior in my opinion. Like, to me, no one could play more better than him. And Robert John Burke, in my opinion, was really bland in the role as RoboCop. Nowhere near as great as Peter Weller at all. Definitely not. Because he was so emotionless and bland. Like, compared to Peter Weller, he barely even tried, in my opinion, as RoboCop. Not to mention, the film also does the horrible Alien 3 cliche to Lewis, which was a very dumb move, and I despise that so much. And the villains, in my opinion, sucked as well. And not to mention as well, the attempts at humour in this film, in my opinion, aren't even funny. Because compared to the humour in the first two films, somewhat in the second film, because like I said, some of the dialogue, in my opinion, was laughably bad in the second film, I personally think that the third film's attempts at humour are terrible. Because I never laugh at all when I see RoboCop 3. I've only seen that film maybe like a couple of times in my life, such as when I first saw it for the first time, and I hated it. And when I rewatched it, it's trash talk. And I never laughed when I watched the film, because it's just not funny. And the story, in my opinion, also sucks as well. Like, it's just an absolute joke to a franchise. And it's probably the main reason why I like to pretend RoboCop is only just for one film, with Rogue City as the continuation, but all in one I can accept. Then, however, after, of course, this absolute disaster, I think it was like about 21 years later, we got a remake, of course, which was RoboCop 2014. Now, I will say that it's definitely better than RoboCop 3, that's for sure. But it's still, in my opinion, just okay at best, really. Because while it was more watchable than RoboCop 3, I didn't like how, for some reason, they still toned down the violence, which in my opinion was a dumb move. Because, like I said, RoboCop is a franchise that's not for children, so I personally did not like how they got rid of the blood and gore, which, of course, the original film was of course, well known for its fans. Like, that was just, in my opinion, really stupid. So, the remake, in my opinion, was okay at best, and we are apparently getting a film called RoboCop Returns, which is apparently a direct sequel to the original film, but I personally am not really interested in that film, because like I've said, guys, in my opinion, there can only be one RoboCop film, with the game Rogue City as a continuation, really. That's what I'll say. So I don't really have any interest in watching this film, really, and I'm not sure if Peter Weller will probably will return to play the character, because he's getting old, because he's in his 70s now, so maybe he's much better doing the role in voice work, to be honest, really. But we'll see how it goes, really. So, but of course, that film's been in development for ages, and there's been no sign of production starting for it at the time of recording, so yeah, that's a bummer. When it comes to good stuff, though, I'll stick to the original film, which to me is the only best thing out of this franchise when it comes to the movies. And when it comes to gaming, I will, of course, definitely continue playing Rogue City, and also, I will also maybe, while I may not be a fan of Mortal Kombat 11 as a game overall, RoboCop is one of my good qualities of that game. He's probably, in my opinion, one of the best parts of Mortal Kombat 11, in my opinion. And I will definitely one day play a PS2 RoboCop game one day, absolutely. Because I've heard good things about that game. I've seen clips and it looks pretty intriguing, in my opinion. And after, as well, when it comes to, of course, TV shows, there has been TV shows of RoboCop. Will I watch them? Maybe. I've seen clips of them on my voice comparisons when I've been collecting audio clips for my voice comparisons. But when it comes, of course, to being interested to watch them as a whole, I'm not really sure because, like I said, guys, no one in my opinion can play RoboCop better than Peter Weller. But maybe one day I'll give him a chance. I'll see if I can watch him one day. But to me, guys, RoboCop was much better as was one film alone when it comes to all being better than you as far as I'm concerned. So, guys, this is me, of course, doing the next episode of All Is Better Than You, while saying why, in my opinion, RoboCop's films, in my opinion, are better than all than you. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to talk in my comments what you guys think of RoboCop doing old films about franchise better than the new ones. Let me know what you think. Also, be sure to join Team Power, press and subscribe who's coming in the future, and I'll see you all later.